Mr. Ramsundar Bisnauth, and we are at Kamuni Patusi on the west bank of the Mawara. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. And welcome to the NARI team to the Kamuni Patusi farm. And we appreciate your support and initiative and ideas to help foster the development of this project.
So, with that initiative and fostering this project, how many years have you been farming?
So since childhood I was involved in agriculture to some extent, and then I developed the passion for it. On an independent level, I had started agriculture personally about 25 years plus.
Perfect.
Right, so that is when I started my first 5-acre plot on the northern side of this plot. Where I started to do banana and cassava and other cash crops like pumpkin and boros and so on. So those were some of the crops that I started. I started a 5-acre plot with zero capital. So from that I managed to grow bananas and cassava, and I managed to generate a lot of income from that 2 crop, along with pumpkins. I used to supply Guyana Store Supermarket at that time, and they used to take at least 2,000 pounds a week.
With that in mind and earning from your plot of land here, right? What it actually also inspired you to further your studies, like I know you were a Guyana School of Agriculture graduate. Correct. And also University of Guyana.
Yes.
Agriculture faculty. What inspired you to further your studies?
So being a 3rd generation farmer or agriculturalist, my grandfather and my dad used to do a lot of hard work, and a lot of things that they did not understand what they were doing in terms of the scientific approach to husbandry practices and the other agronomy aspect and pathology in terms of pest and disease control and so on. And so it was a challenge for them, and even myself at that time I wouldn't understand some of the whole aspect of pest and disease control, weed control, etc. And I decided that I want to be a 3rd generation farmer with the right knowledge. So always wanted to be independent, not to be working with people. And so today I'm proud to be a farmer. I would like to encourage more people to get on board with agriculture, and knowledge is power. I don't have to always call NARI, research scientists, for advice. I can fix some of my problems myself, and I can figure how I can operate at a more higher level.
So my 3rd question to you is, how helpful was your studies in your daily operation right now on your plot of land?
Great. So the academic studies have benefited my operation here as a crop farmer, cash crop farmer, and perennials and so on, because I was able to understand the pest and disease cycle, weed control management, even conduct small experiments, and also even in the propagation of my own planting materials, genetic, propagation, vegetative propagation, and some of the other aspects and husbandry practices that would benefit the daily practices on the farm.
With that being said, what's your opinion on the President's initiative of One Guyana, with graduates from University of Guyana going forward as young budding agriculturists?
Very, very nice question. I personally am very supportive of the initiative of His Excellency Dr. Fanali, and that was one of the motivating factor that pushed me to try to take the challenge to do a 100-acre plot cassava at the initial stage. However, planting material was the main problem, so we end up stick to 15 acres, and then I can then do 200 acres now because I have enough planting materials. So the support that we are getting from the government and His Excellency is very, very phenomenal in terms of support. A lot of farmers are benefiting from machinery, helping to develop plots and so on. And there are also available studies online that people can equip themselves, with more knowledge now to get into these kind of production.
What are some of the crops that you're currently planting?
So basically, we are doing the pineapples, one of the main crop that occupies over 90% of the soil surface or space that's available. Currently, this farm is about 60 acres and going. We have about a 90-acre plot overall, And so I'm right now about 60 acres pushing to get on the crops development. Also the citruses, the limes, the seedless limes, the oranges, tangerine, lemons, and so on. We've already put down 1,000 plants in the pineapple field into crop. Also avocado, which is grafted, and you have some of them up there. And the carambola program we want to start up also to support DDL, as well as the pineapples and passion fruit. All right, so those are some of the crops that we are focusing on. Currently, we also intercrop on some plots that have smaller stages of the pineapple, the watermelon, and cucumbers, pumpkins, and so on. So those are some of the vine crops that we are doing right now. And in the next 2 weeks, we're embarking on the red beans program, which is right on the immediate right here of me here. We're gonna start those 2 plots to put in intercrop red beans between the pineapple, and again that is a beneficial crop to plant. It helps to fix nitrogen in the soil and improve the crop growth. So that is some of our plans.
So what's the layout of your farm?
In terms of managing the operation, a lot of our operation, we try to do some of it mechanically, where we can use the chipper to help to control some of the weeds in the initial phase when you can drive on the plots. So mechanically you can control that weed, as well as we use a lot of the weeding machine here. I have employed with me 5 guys on a full-time basis. Myself, I would normally do some of the technical work, like pruning and taking care of pest and disease problems and so on within the crop, because some of those things, you have to make sure you're dealing with chemicals and so on, that you have the right application in terms of ratio or proportionately mixed, because sometimes you can do more damages than good to the crop and so on. And we have a rigid weed control program, pest and disease program, even fertilizer program too. We don't use much fertilizer on our crops, only if we see there is a deficiency in certain areas, then we would try to boost the plant. A lot of it is organic manure for the cash crop production, especially the watermelon and the watermelon, the pumpkins and cucumbers and so on. And those are some of the practices that we employed here. But a lot of it we try to do mechanically to help control the weed, and as well as the manual labor which we use with the brush cutter tool.
Could you elaborate a bit on the mechanical side of it, on how you manage?
So the mechanical side, we can use a tiller, like the spacing that we have there, perfect now. We can use a tiller to go in there and till between the plant until it's a bit difficult to pass through. Even here, as it is right now, I can use a tiller to go through, and then I can incorporate all the green vegetation into the soil, which add nitrogen again into the soil, and then you would have a better crop growth, rather than using pesticide, weedicides that is allowed to use within certain type selective weedicide that is allowed to use within the pineapple field, but it still would hamper the full development of the plant, because at some extent it still affect root and so on, and then it affect the soil also, because it kills some of the microorganisms and beneficial bacteria and all these things that we need to have a good crop growth. So those are some of the practices that we employed to help mechanically to control weeds, as well as I mentioned earlier, the chipper. And we made some implements that help, some unique implements that help to, like a ridger and so on, to help prepare land that you can farm and you can mold the crops with and so on. We even have a mold, a unit there that can mold the crops while it's growing in the early stage. And that also helps to control weeds. And back in the days, guys, Gaisuku used to use it to control, to help mold the cane. But this one here is something that we adopt the principle from Gaisuku there, and then we decided to employ it here to help with our weed control problem, which is one of the the biggest problem in any farm, weed control. 90% of your time is spent controlling weeds. And if farmers can reduce the 90% of the time spent controlling weeds, and we can get to spend at least another 40% more, we can expand rapidly. And it will reduce your expenditure, which is one of the things that we're focusing heavily on here.
Presently, what market do you produce for?
So currently we're supporting the domestic market, the local market right now, and also focusing on developing the pineapple for exports too. There is a market that I had opened years ago for the Surinamese. So I had started initially that export market for pineapples with Suriname. I had at one time had shared some of that market with the Canal number 1 farmers, because the guys there was greater demand for the supplies after they recognized the quality of pineapple coming from Guyana, and we were able to break into the market more. And so I had plant production for 350 dozen a week, and I was keeping my quota, but then they upped the market to 500. And then there were more buyers from Suriname come in to buy, so I could not have serviced everybody. So I shared the market with other farmers, and I'm very happy that we can get to expose our Guyanese produce in the international markets, and our neighbors and so on can benefit.
And my final question for you this wonderful day: how does NARI help in your operation? How do we assist?
NARI has played a pivotal role in agricultural development in Guyana. I wouldn't say just our farm, but across the 10 administrative region, and with government support. The Minister of Agriculture has really emphasized the development of non-traditional agriculture crops, and that is where NARI is fit in perfectly to fill the gap where farmers are lacking in terms of research, knowledge, and packaging, development, post-harvest technology, disease-free planting materials, and other husbandry practices and management systems and so on that you can employ on your everyday production, agriculture plots, be it livestock or crops. And so I would want to, to advise more farmers to reach out to NARI's technical team, because they have a wealth of knowledge that is there that you can tap into. And so NARI is doing a great job in the extension work. And we would like to see more extension officers coming out in the field and different parts of our farming communities, and sharing and even taking back some observations so that you can improve and better able to assist in those areas.